of mine and I said to her, oh, I had been invited to talk about the imposter syndrome. And I was like, I wonder who the imposter here is. So very quickly, you would have seen my profile in the announcement. My name is Ada Adeleke Kalani. The easiest way to remember how to pronounce my name is just remember that I am adaptable. Okay, so Ada as in adaptable. I'm really looking forward to an engaging time. So I'm not going to be talking at anybody. This is what our agenda is going to look like, very loosely, just the intros we've already gone through. We're going to watch 1 or 2 or 3 videos. We're going to have some activities. So I hope where you are, you have a pen, you have a notepad, you have your phone. We will do a few activities and then let's see what else comes up. And we'll have a session for questions and answers like Theresa mentioned. So we're going to start off with an activity. And my first activity for all of us is, I'd like you to either look in a mirror or pick up your phone and take a selfie and come up with one word you'd use to describe the lady you see in the mirror or the lady you see in the selfie you just took. One word. And you can just write it down. We'll come back to it. But I'd like you to just write it down. What's one word? And one word you cannot use is imposter. So let's have that out there. Just one word, just think of a word you'd like to use to describe yourself. For some strange reason, I don't see the video at the same time I'm sharing. Theresa, is that something that is unique to Teams? Because on Zoom, you're able to see the meeting participants. So strange.
No, you should be able to see the video at the same time.
Yeah. Interesting.
Are you seeing yourself or?
No, I've had to open up a new screen to do that. I don't know why that's happening, but okay, let's just roll with it. Okay.
Sorry, I don't know.
No, that's fine. We'll do the best we can. Okay. All right. So hopefully everyone has done that. So I'd like to kick things off by, we'll watch a very quick, I think it's about a 7-minute video. Interesting. So Theresa, you and I tested this and it worked.
Yes, just need to make sure that the sound
patience is a virtue. Yes. Let's give it a moment to come up.
Have you ever had that I'm in over my head and they're going to find out feeling? Yeah. Maybe it was when you got a promotion or you started a business or you landed in a new role. Like the highly qualified administrator who couldn't believe they gave her the job. Once she got there, she found out the hiring committee had come directly from a wine function. And she said, aha, they were drunk. Or maybe you've said, if I can do it, how hard can it be? I actually heard a guy say, if I can get a PhD in astrophysics from Caltech, anybody can. This tendency to discount or diminish obvious evidence of our abilities is called the imposter syndrome. The first time I heard the term, I was a 21-year-old doctoral student at the same university where my mom was working as a night janitor. I instantly identified, and so did the other students. As a matter of fact, we decided to start a little imposter support group. We started meeting and talking about being intellectual frauds and how we're fooling all of our professors. And everything went great for about 3 weeks. And that's about the time I started to have this nagging sense that even though everyone else was saying they were an imposter, it's like I knew I was the only real imposter. Decades later, and psychologists are still telling us that the way to overcome imposter syndrome is to just keep talking about it. The more we can talk about our supposed ineptness, the better we'll feel. I don't know, has anybody ever talked about how fat you feel? It's like, do you feel any thinner? Talking about imposter feelings is a start, but you can't share your way out of imposter syndrome. So what does work? Well, it begins by recognizing that people who really don't feel like imposters are no more intelligent or capable than you or I. That the only difference between them and us is they think different thoughts. That's it. Which is really good news because it means all we have to do is learn to think like a non-imposter. For example, the big difference between people who feel like imposters and people who don't is no one likes to fail, no one likes to make a mistake, no one likes to not know the answer or to have an off day or to struggle to master something. But when these things happen to imposters, we experience shame. Like the woman who was the head of a large medical center who said to me, I feel like an imposter because, quote, everyone else on the executive team is brilliantly articulate and I'm not. Now, there was a time when I would have said to her, oh, I'm sure you're brilliantly articulate. But now I know that wouldn't have served her. So instead I said, well, maybe you're not. Maybe you're not. And that's okay. She was thinking like an imposter. Non-imposters know they can't be brilliant at everything, and they're fine with that. The reason we have to pay attention to the conversation going on in our head is so we can reframe it the way a non-imposter would. My favorite reframe of all time came from Daniel Boone, the wilderness explorer, who said, I was never lost, but I was bewildered once for 3 days. That is a very good reframe. Somebody in serious need of a reframe was a friend of mine who was asked to put together a major presentation at the last minute. She nailed it. But all she could think of was, oh man, that was just a bunch of BS I threw together at the last minute. What's the reframe? How about, wow, how good am I that I can pull together information at the 11th hour that other people genuinely find useful? That last part is really important because it speaks to a contradiction in imposter logic. Because when you think about it, what we're really saying is other people are so stupid, they don't realize we're incompetent. So imagine if you had come up to my friend and said, that was great. And she looked at you and said, seriously? Wow. I mean, do you get out of the house much or what? Right? How arrogant and how absurd would that sound? What should she say in that situation? Yeah, thank you. Exactly. The thing about imposter syndrome is that it affects up to 70% of people. Not just high achievers, but it's a confidence issue for a lot of people. So for years, I would give people 10 ways to combat imposter syndrome. And then there was always that one person who would say, but is there anything else we can do? And I would say, well, of the 10 things I just gave you, what have you tried? Right? Well, nothing, but is there anything else we can do? It took me a while, but I finally figured out what was happening. What they wanted was to walk in the room feeling like an imposter and walk out of the room not feeling like an imposter. And that's not how it works. In fact, feelings are the last to change. Do you want to stop feeling like an imposter? Then you have to stop thinking like an imposter. How would you like to feel confident 24/7? Yeah, good luck with that. Because that's not how confidence works. Your body doesn't know the difference between fear and excitement. So as you're walking up to the podium or into the meeting or any place where your confidence is shaky, you have to say to yourself, I'm excited. Okay? I'm excited. Okay? You don't believe it, and that's okay. Because now you know that you don't have to feel confident to act confident. And over time, you really will begin to believe the new thoughts. And when you do, you can stop trying to overcome imposter syndrome and instead just use reframing to talk yourself down faster. That way, instead of having an imposter life, you can have an imposter moment. Thank you.
Okay. Sorry, one sec. It's really bugging me that I can't see the video. So let me try something different. Is this any better? I don't see anything still. Okay. All right, I'll just pull up the video. So what were some of your takeaways from that short video? I'd like to hear some of your takeaways.
I was just saying in the chat that I'm really glad she mentioned reframing, because that's something that I have found very helpful in dealing with some of these feelings. So, and I would love to know how to be better at it.
Excellent. We'll cover a bit of that today. Yes, excellent. Thanks. Anyone else? Your takeaways from that video? Feel free to come off mute. It's great to get the voices in the room. Yes, Greta.
Yeah, Greta, actually.
Greta.
Yeah. I feel like an imposter anytime that I start a new job.
Mm-hmm.
Because even though I have 27 years of experience,
Mm-hmm.
I still question my ability.
Mm.
But
Okay.
I pretend like I know.
Okay. So I guess the question is, do all the other people around you know any better for them to have given you that job? That's a question I'd leave with you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? Okay. Any other thoughts? Any other takeaways? Thanks for sharing.
Hello.
Yes.
Okay, my takeaway, I think I like the idea that you could have an imposter moment versus an imposter day.
Yeah.
Also the fact that your feeling is the last to change. Like
Mm-hmm.
you can actually not feel like be an imposter, but your feeling won't notice it. Like so you have to, like the first speaker said, refrain because and not have to worry too much about the feeling. Just go
Okay.
ahead with it.
All right. Yeah. It's one of those do it afraid type things. Thanks for sharing, Chinyere. Yes. One more person and then we'll move on. Okay. There'll be lots of time to talk in between. Okay, so for me, and this was my backup because I wasn't sure it was going to happen. The first thing, the first takeaway for me is you're not alone. So it's almost like imposter syndrome, you're in great company with 70% of the people. So it's almost like normalizing it. Things we've already said, your thoughts and your words matter, and you can definitely reframe and should reframe them regularly. I like the cartoon, on the side, where they're having a conversation and this person is giving advice and things like that. And it's almost like, yeah, I wonder if they really know, I wonder if she can figure out that I'm an imposter. The thing about imposter syndrome is if you don't deal with it, it will deal with you. So it's one of those things you just need to take charge of. When I think about imposter syndrome in my life, Greta talked about getting a new job and you're like feeling like an imposter. Sign me up for that. I'm like, okay, I wonder when they'll find out. And then after a while, I'm like, wait a minute, I got a good head on these shoulders, so I can do this. But once again, you need to, it's a constant thing. Back to Chinyere's point and from the video about having moments. Because really, we don't want to go around like arrogant people who are all knowing, because we are not. But for me, one of the ways I deal with imposter syndrome is recognizing that there's some things I don't know yet, and that's okay. So I do have the opportunity to learn. And so that's one of my personal goals. My personal goal is to learn something new every day. And it doesn't matter how little, and I find that that has helped me in dealing with imposter syndrome. Okay. So let's talk a bit about our thoughts. Our thoughts come from, yes?
Can you minimize the video window on your, there we
Okay.
go. Now we can
Okay.
see the
Yeah,
PowerPoint
sorry.
again.
Okay, apologies. Okay, so let me just go back to that slide. Did you miss this part? My apologies. So did you see this cartoon?
No, we weren't able to see it, so give us a minute to read that.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, I can't understand why the video isn't showing on the side. That's fine. Just let me know when you're ready to move on.
That sounds just like me.
Remember, we're in good company. It's just,
I feel that way every time someone praises me.
yeah,
Yep,
and
yep.
definitely, you know, I'm hoping that by the time we're done with this session, we'll come up with better ways to manage those moments versus having that be the way we live every day. Okay?
Mhm.
So let's talk a bit about our thoughts. And, you know, I was saying that our thoughts come from what people have said to us. Sometimes we have internalized what our parents or siblings, teachers, friends, colleagues, bullies, spouses, you know, things people have said to us. There are things that we have internalized. Sometimes it's things that we have seen happen to other people. And then you're like, wow, if this could happen to her or happen to him, you know, who knows what would happen to me? And then there are things that just come from within, which was why at the beginning I said, you know, I'd like everyone to just take a selfie or pick up a mirror and look at themselves and think of a word they'd use to describe themselves. So when you think about your thoughts, and pun totally unintended, do they make you feel better or bitter? Do they make you feel bigger or smaller? Do they make you feel wiser or dumber? Worthy or worthless? Valuable or without value? How do your thoughts make you feel? How do your thoughts make you feel? Because it's known that if something doesn't feel right, do something about it.
Easier
If you're
said than
having,
done, though.
I'm sorry?
Easier said than done, though.
Agreed, definitely, but not doing anything will not get you into a better place.
True. Yeah.
It won't get you into a better place. So saying it's easier said than done, and then just crossing your hands and saying, whatever, you're not moving from that spot. So we need to be able to step up and do what we need to do for ourselves, you know, even if we think about mental health and things like that.
Mhm.
So really, do you like how your thoughts make you feel? And I found this quote. I love quotes, so you'll find out that I love quotes a lot. I found this quote that said, if you realize just how powerful your thoughts are, you would never think a negative thought. Because a lot of times our body follows where our mind's at, consciously, unconsciously. So we have to take the time to, shall I say, think about our thoughts and reframe. And if I'm going too fast, please let me know. But, you know, I've tried to build in a bit of time for conversation. So here are some indicators of the imposter syndrome. We you know, like from the video, denial of our abilities. Rita talked about how it's like, I get a new job and I'm like, oh, I don't know if I got this, you know. So abilities, skill, and knowledge. sometimes, Teresa, you made a comment about sometimes when people acknowledge or praise you, you're like, huh, you know. The example Valerie gave in the video, somebody got a PhD in astrophysics, you know, and it's like, yeah, anybody can do that. And then there are times when we have the imposter syndrome because we're just being too hard on ourselves, where we're trying to be perfect, you know, just because we're trying to distinguish ourselves. And of course, the dread of failure, you're just like, oh my, if I ever make a mistake, they will find out that I'm not any good. So the question is, you know, how do you reframe those mistakes? How do you reframe those mistakes? So it can really easily be imposed by you. It could be by the system, you know, because sometimes your teachers or the boss at work might just never recognize your work. And so you just keep saying, oh, I'm not good enough. And then sometimes it could just be the society, you know. So the question is, which of these sources can you do something about? And, you know, please feel free to come off mute and share your thoughts. Which of these sources of the imposition of imposter syndrome can you do something about? And how?
Ourselves.
Okay. How?
Changing how we think about ourselves, how we frame our successes, you know, and failures.
Yeah. Thank you. Anyone else?
I like to consider if it would be something that I would say to one of my children. And if it's not, I shouldn't be saying it to myself either.
Nice. Nice. You know, it's interesting how it's easy for us to give other people the advice. And sometimes it's difficult to take the same. You know, it's almost like, no, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do that. Don't say that about yourself. And we're doing it all the time. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Yeah. Someone else?
I found a trusted colleague, and we share. When we're feeling that way, we share it with each other and try to explain how we're not actually in those situations.
Nice. Nice. So having a trusted friend who, you know, each of you is balancing or, you know, setting the other person straight, so to speak. That's a good one. That's good. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we don't do life alone, so it's important to have such people around us. Yeah. Anybody else before we move on? Yeah. Okay. So thanks. I mean, of these three, the truth is the one you have the most control over is yourself. The system is the system is the system. You know, you can, the society is the society is the society. The question is, how do we show up as individuals, you know, and how do we do that consistently? When I think about, you know, this denial of abilities, you know, skills and knowledge, I continually remind people that when we live in denial, we delay our own progress and success. Because if you keep saying, oh, I'm not good enough at this, or I'm not good at that, you're stuck. You just get stuck versus moving on to the next thing. So that's something I always say, watch out for, you know, watch out for. I put a video in the corner. If we have time, I'd like to, you know, it's a video that I shared on this same quip. It's on my YouTube channel, so feel free to watch it later. If we have time in this session, we will look at it. But, you know, for me, the conversation is more important than just watching videos. Okay? So if that's okay with you guys, I'll move on. Okay. What do these pictures tell you?
I'm not sure I understand the question. Did the miner find a girl in the mine?
I'm sorry?
Did the miner find a girl in the mine?
That's a good one, but they're two very different pictures. One is a guy and one is a lady. Okay, so let me just share. The first thing is for men, and this is where, we have gender differences when it comes to imposter syndrome. I have, in my experience, a lot of times men are always looking outwards. If you've ever worked with people who are looking for new jobs, you'll find that men are quicker at applying for jobs where they maybe have 30% of what's expected. And it's like, I'll learn whatever is left. But as women, a lot of us put the spotlight on ourselves. And we're like, oh my, I don't think I have. Yeah, I got 8 of 10. Oh, why don't I have 10 of 10? And we hold ourselves back. Once again, that's the imposter syndrome creeping up, slowing us down, tripping us, and sometimes trapping us. So it's something to recognize and once again deal with. The minute we start, looking outwards versus always being introspective, I'm not saying don't assess your capability, but the truth is, say you wanted to apply for a new role. Why would you want to apply for a role where you already been there, done that? Where's the growth in it? So that's one of the places that I find that as women, even when I'm, with the clients I coach, I find that that's where we get tripped and trapped. We trip and trap ourselves because we're always like, oh, I'm not good enough. Okay, but I have achieved this. I have achieved this. I have this education. I've done this before. Therefore, I can do it. But I'm still not good enough. So once again, it's back to that reframing and reminding yourself of where you have succeeded, how you have succeeded. And sometimes even casting your mind back to say, before XYZ role, I didn't know this much, but I stepped into the role, I learned, and now I am better for it and ready for the next challenge. We must always remember that in life, there's a place for everybody, but it's our responsibility to step up and step into our own place. Otherwise, you'll just find that sometimes people take your place because you haven't stepped up. Okay? Any questions here before I move on? All right. So let's practice some reframing. So remember our foul language comics, living in terror and, things like that. So how would you reframe this conversation on the left?
Someone's put their hand up.
Okay, sorry. Sorry.
Now I have to figure out who.
It's Anne. Hi.
Okay.
I just wanted to say in the second slide, maybe the girl responding with just a thought. I'd rather tell her friend that she experiences that as well, rather than kind of keeping it as her own insecurity.
Yep. Yeah. Thanks, Anne. That's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah, because I mean, a lot of times there are people who make it seem like I ain't got a problem. And, sometimes they even feel like greater imposters than you do. Yeah. Thank you.
Well, and also it kind of gives the impression that the other person's insecurity is their own and that their friend isn't sharing that they're on top of it, right?
Yeah.
When we're all really experiencing similar things.
Yeah. Authenticity. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Hello. Okay,
Yeah.
so the video we watched at the beginning described the feeling of fear and excitement. And instead of feeling afraid of something, how about, oh, I'm excited? Okay, so if I kind of rethink the conversation, the person who said, I live in terror, you could say, oh, I'm excited about discovering new things.
Okay.
Rather than living in terror that people will find out I'm horrible at everything, but I'm
Yeah.
excited about learning new things.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, Chinyere. You know, it's interesting because I live in terror of people finding out how absolutely horrible I am at everything. How untrue is that? Is there anybody who is horrible at everything? There might be people who are horrible at most things, but I think at everything is a bit much. Yeah? So definitely, you know, as a friend, you could just say, oh no, I don't think you're horrible at everything. You know, that's a place for reframing, you know. And of course, you know, the comments we got from Anna and Chinyere. So let's practice some reframing ourselves. Okay. So if someone says to you, you can't, or you're thinking to yourself, I can't, how can you reframe that?
I'll try my best.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
It's a great learning opportunity.
Great learning opportunity. Yes. Thank you.
Hi, Adam. I can try. Sorry. Okay, I will go ahead and. Sorry. I can if I make a research. I'm prepared. Then I know what to do. Sorry for that thing. Yeah.
That's fine. Thank you. Yeah. There's someone else.
Sorry, that little lag like gets you every time. We just say maybe I can't yet. We like to add yet on the end.
Yet. Nice. Nice. That's a good one. Tied to the learning opportunity. There's something that stuck with me. I remember one of my children was taught in elementary school, and they were taught that when you say I can't, you should move the T and say I can try. Okay? All right. Thanks, everyone. You seem aggressive. How can that be reframed? If someone says to you, you seem aggressive, how would you respond to that person reframing it?
You could just say, I'm eager to get it done.
Okay, nice.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Would you ask a man that, or would you say a man was aggressive for having that same drive?
I was wondering who was going to go there.
Yeah. We all know that aggressive women are actually confident and talking like they know what they're talking about. So you can just think, oh yeah, I must be doing a great job then. If they're telling me that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was asked to be less direct because apparently I was too direct. Well, I thought it's my cultural Eastern Europe, you know. So, but later, in a few months, they said, you know what, go back to being direct as you were at the beginning. So I'm like, okay. So I did not think about that. It kind of returned to where it started.
Nice. I mean, so you stayed true to yourself. Good.
Well, I tried to follow their recommendation, but then turned out I was right from the very beginning.
As we always are, isn't it? Okay, thank you. I failed. I'm a failure.
I can try again later.
Okay, yes.
This is the one I say to myself all the time. I always try to say, I must have learned something from that.
Nice. Yeah. There was someone else that was trying to say something.
Then that may have been me. I said it just didn't work out this time.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Let's try one more. I'm not an expert. Or someone says to you, you're not an expert. How could you reframe that?
I think we've talked a lot in this group in particular about how when it comes to data science, no one is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, so I added my responses and, I can try. You seem aggressive. I'm assertive. I failed. I just learned what will not work. I'm not an expert. Yep, you're right about that, but I'm happy to share what I do know. So those are examples of ways we can reframe. All right. So this is totally optional. What was the word you used to describe yourself at the beginning? And if you want to share, I'd like you to kindly respond to the questions on the slide. Yeah.
Ada, could you please minimize the little screen in the corner so we can see the third
Oh,
question?
I don't. Okay.
There it is.
Is that better?
Yes.
Thanks.
Theresa, so much for our doing a dry run. I'm not sure what's happening.
Yeah, I'm not sure why you can't see the screen that you're sharing either. I don't even know what to suggest. I was trying to Google it, but
yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah,
Zoom is so much better.
I would agree. Yeah.
the
But that's
problem with
fine.
Zoom is that you can only get 40 minutes unless you pay for it, and we don't have the budget for me to pay for it. So
Yeah.
So let's work with what we got.
Yep, exactly.
All right. So who wants to share? What was the word you used to describe yourself? What brought that word to mind? And what makes it stick? Does it make you tick?
I can share. I know I don't have my camera on, but I don't have a camera on this computer, so that's unfortunate. The word that I chose to describe myself is beautiful.
Mm.
And the reason why that sticks for me is I have a very joyful smile, and it's a smile that comes from a genuine place, and so that was what I thought when I saw my picture.
Nice. That's beautiful. Thanks for sharing.
You're very welcome.
Anyone else?
I'll go. I picked the word capable.
Okay.
It sticks because of the variety of things that I've learned and that I've done. It just exemplifies the fact that I am very capable. Does it make you tick? Absolutely. It's one of the drivers I have to learn and to do.
Excellent. Excellent. Yeah. Thank you. That's a great word, capable. Yeah. One or two more people, if you want to share.
Unfortunately, mine was negative.
Feel free to share if you want to, and we can talk about it.
Failure.
Okay.
Because in my 27 years, I've been let go twice from jobs. And I have having some issues with my son. And so I feel like a failure as a mom.
Okay.
I raised him by myself at 21.
Oh, wow. So you raised a child by yourself at 21. How many people have done that?
Yeah, he's 37 now.
So that's something.
Yeah, it's just the dynamics right now
Mm-hmm.
that is making me feel that way about it. And the whole job thing. I've been looking for job since November 2018, and I've sent out 135 resumes.
Hmm.
And nothing.
Wow. Yeah. And because I don't have my video on, I don't know your name, but I'd be happy to connect with you later. Yeah. Do you want to reach out to me?
Sure, it's Greta.
Greta, okay. So, yeah. But thank you for sharing. Appreciate your recognizing that this is safe space for you to share that. Yeah. But very quickly, no one's a failure. There might be events in our lives where we have failed, but that doesn't make us a failure. The fact that you got up and logged onto this event shows that you want to take that next step. Failures wouldn't do that. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Greta. Does anybody else want to share?
There are some coming through in the chat as well, if people want to go read them there. Some people who don't have microphones or are having trouble unmuting themselves.
Okay. Do you mind reading out one or two of them and then we can move on?
Yeah, sure. So we have collaborative, because I love
Mhm.
working with people, coming up with better solutions between people. That's from Corinne. And MD says passionate, as I love learning new technology and other things in my day-to-day. I think mine, for myself, I struggle with this question as well. I often look in the mirror and I see lazy, or I see not talented enough. But I'm really working on changing that negative self-talk to something positive. It's encouraging though to see how many people are giving positive answers here.
Yeah. Because there's a lot of good in each and every one of us. Sometimes we need to dig in to find it so that we're able to stand confidently and not feel like imposters. But it takes work. It takes work. Okay. All right. So just talking, about imposter syndrome a bit more, I felt it was important to share this, and then you'll see what my one more thing is. So what would you say is happening here?
Comparing.
Thank you. Spot on. Spot on. So in my opinion, comparison is imposter syndrome's twin. And that's definitely one thing we shouldn't let in. Because it's so easy to look at how things, quote and unquote, are going so well for someone else just because we don't know what the full story is. Have you ever been in that place where, you just think things are going so badly for you, and then you overhear somebody else telling their story and you're like, oh, wow, I didn't realize I had it so good. Has that happened to anybody here?
Absolutely. My grandmother used to say, there, but for the grace of God, go I. Different circumstances, you could have been there, and you're not.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so important. Thanks for sharing it. It's so important not to get caught in that comparison trap. Because, you know, the funny thing about comparison is a lot of times there's nothing wrong with aspiring to be better than where you are. But a lot of times we never remember that there are people that even want to be where we are. There are people who are looking at you and saying, oh, I wish I were in the same place as Mary. I wish I were in the same place as Janice. And apologies if I'm calling names of people who are on the call. I can't see the name of participants, but I'm just pulling names out of the hat, you know? So closely linked to, you know, the imposter syndrome is comparison. And that also slows you down in your tracks. We need to always remember that we are unique and we're beautiful just the way that we are. We're unique and beautiful just the way that we are. And that's why I always say to people, we need to discover and deploy our brilliance. Okay? So that's about what I had for now. I have a few special offers and a takeaway at the end, but I'd like to open it up for questions and answers, you know, and hopefully we'll answer the questions together because there's a lot of knowledge in the room. Any questions?
I have a question actually.
Yes, please.
When you're looking at the reframing action, what would you suggest is a good way to trigger that? Because generally, I find that it's been said in my head before I have a chance to say, no, that's not nice. Be nice to you.
So what I do is, the truth is, you don't see those thoughts sneaking up on you. So what happens is just that awareness that, uh-oh, what just happened? And you take charge and reframe at that time versus let the dust settle. So that's how I do it. You know, there are times when the thought has already come and I may even have gone a few kilometers past that thought. And I'm like, no. Reel yourself back in, Ada, and reframe. So I think the awareness that, you know, because if the thought just creeps up on you and you let it settle, before you know it, you'll be believing a lie about yourself.
Well, it's breaking a habit. You need a trigger to break it so that when you recognize the thought, even after the fact, you can reframe it. It's just the fact that it's after the fact when you realize that it's already been. So you're suggesting that if you get it before you settle in, it becomes more of a practice?
Yes, it's a consciousness.
Ah, thank you.
Yeah, it's kind of like my this happened this week. I'm on a specific diet that my daughter-in-law and my son are part of, and I lost in 5 weeks. I lost 16 pounds. But my daughter-in-law says that's weird because she said I lost 35 pounds in 2 months. In the beginning, I thought, wow, what am I doing wrong? And then I started to think, she's only 35. I'm 58. You know, like the comparison thing, right?
Yeah.
So that's when I have to stop and think about the fact that, you know, we're not the same. We're not the same person. We're, you know, I can't compare myself to her, and I can only do best with my very best.
Yeah. And celebrate those successes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, celebrate those successes. I mean, because there might be other people who would have, say, gone on a similar diet or the same diet and lost 2 pounds.
True.
You know, so.
I have a question.
Yes, please, Chair.
Okay, first of all, just to say, Greta, please, perhaps you could send me this diet. That's one. Secondly, I hear the phrase "fake it till you make it." How is that different or similar to reframing?
So for me, the fake it till you make it, I struggle with it because I feel that you're not being authentic. Reframing for me is drawing from your reserves of who you are. And so, yes, I have gotten this new job. I don't know everything about my new job, but I have had new jobs before. I have learned on the job. Therefore, I am reframing and saying, I don't know everything I need to, but I have the capacity and the capability to learn. Therefore, I know I would learn on this new job versus going around pretending that I understand every aspect of the job. That is the fake it till you make it. And for me, that is torture. Does that help?
Yes, thanks. I think it boils down to being authentic in the process.
Yeah. I mean, I remember one time I had the opportunity of leading a larger team, and some people on my team had been with the organization for decades. So one of the first things I said to them straight up was, guess what? I'm the new kid on the block. So I am looking to you to teach me. And so that humility definitely helped me get up to speed faster versus saying, guess what? I am your manager, therefore I know more than you do. Yeah.
One thing I have found with the fake it till you make it, I've also really struggled with that message, is that it doesn't stop the negative self-talk. So you end up just miserable and still having those imposter feelings, but feeling like not only are you feeling like an imposter for not being able to do your job, but also you should always look like you are doing your job as well as you can. And it just makes it twice as bad. But I was also wondering, do you see, I've always heard that fake it till you make it message from men in my life, particular males who are mentors. So is it something that works better for them?
I think so, but I say that carefully so that we're not generalizing, because I have also met women who are faking it. Yeah. But yes, so, and I think some of it stems from, when I was talking about the picture of the minor who was looking outwards and then the girl who was looking inwards, sometimes some men don't have all the requirements of a job and they apply and they're like, I'll almost, so to speak, bulldoze my way through this job. So sometimes that's where that fake it till you make it comes up versus, the woman who is like, oh no, I only have 8.5 of 10. I don't think I'm ready. Versus drawing from your reserves and saying, no, I have learned before, I can learn this new role and step up.
Yeah, that's helpful. I'm sure that all the people in my life who have told me that before have really meant it as stay positive and keep trying until you figure it out. That's not how it sounded to me. And it was very helpful to realize that I was interpreting that message in an unhelpful way.
Yeah. Okay.
So what do you do when you're at work and you have an opinion and somebody else has an opinion and you think you're right, but you don't like to say that they're wrong? Because I've had that situation, and like sometimes they are right, but sometimes in hindsight, I was right, but being collaborative, I don't like to just push my opinion too hard.
So okay, before I respond, does anybody have any responses to that? Because this is a learning community.
I would like to respond to this. My answer is depends what's the damage if will happen or will happen if I don't bring my opinion. If someone says, oh yeah, absolutely, we can have this feature on this application, turns out no, we cannot, and I didn't express my opinion, like the company will have problems. So if it's something, I want cake, someone wants pizza, fine, no one will be damaged from that. But if that affects I don't know, business, someone's life, if it's healthcare, I don't mind saying sorry, I don't agree, and explain why. So just for the sake of finding the truth that would work for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other thoughts? Okay, so for me, the thing is being open-minded. I mean, there are some situations where there is something that's clearly right and another that's clearly wrong. And sometimes it's just a difference in opinion because of a difference in either experience or perspectives. So somebody may have seen something work well in a particular way, in a different job, a different company, and is bringing that position to this conversation. So rather than say, I'm right, you're wrong, it's interesting because this week I'm doing a series on how to disagree without being disagreeable, but saying I'm right, you're wrong, it's almost like, okay, we have these differing opinions. What is best for the organization? And sometimes I've found that you can pull things from each opinion and come up with a better solution, a well-rounded solution. So it's really about, it's not always saying, oh, it's either that I'm right and then you're wrong. Sometimes it's not that. And there are times it is that clear. So it's important to know whose accountability is it to make that call. Yeah. Because unfortunately, there are times that the manager is wrong, but is insisting they're right because they are the manager. Yeah. Does that help?
That does, thanks. Both you and the other comments as well. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Something I've experienced with like having differing opinions is bringing up the idea of an experiment. So it's like, okay, you have this idea, let's try this out and see how it works. And then there might be other people with other ideas, and run an experiment for if you can do it at low cost, no cost, and see how it goes, and then try the other idea. And like always be open-minded, as you said, Eda, to like what lessons you're learning.
Yeah. And that's also ties into failing forward, try something fast, learn fast, fail fast and learn and keep moving. Yes, that's an excellent one. Thank you for sharing. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. All right. So let me just quickly just share 2 or 3 more things, and then we'll see, Teresa, what next you want to do. So like I had mentioned, I am a life coach. And so one of the things I had thought about was I'm happy to offer a 20% off for 6 coaching sessions. If anyone, would want a life or career coach, I believe very strongly, like I said, that we need to discover and deploy our brilliance. So please, if you were interested, just send an email to this email address, diamondcuttercoach@gmail.com, and put, the promo code WID in the message, and then, I'll let you know, I'll reach out to you, and then we can talk some more. And then the other offer I have is around my books. So I'm an author, and I have published 2 books. So if you buy 3 books, you can get a free copy of my first book. So if you want to buy 1 copy of book 1 and 2 of book 2, or vice versa, whatever. Once again, you can get the information on where to place the order. And if you put the promo code WID, I will remember to send you the free copy of the book. My second book is available for pre-order. And so I know that by Christmas, the books would be out definitely and mailed to you. Okay. Teresa, I'm happy to send you this information if you want to circulate it later. Right.
Yeah, that would be great. I can put it up. You and I were talking before about how you've also been trying your hand at a YouTube channel. Is that something that we can take advantage of as well?
Well, my YouTube channel is really centered. I talk a lot about the things on my in my books. So it's just Quip Corner with Ada. So feel free to subscribe, and I'd love to hear your comments. Or read your comments rather. So yes, Quip Corner with Ada. Thanks, Teresa. Actually forgot that conversation.
You also mentioned a series that you're doing on how to disagree without being disagreeable. That definitely sounds like something I could benefit from. Is that where?
Yeah, so that was the video that went out to, what's today? Today's Thursday. No, so it was yesterday's video. Yes. So yes, and if you follow me on Quip Corner and Instagram, you'll see the quotes each day that guide us around how to be to disagree without being disagreeable. Yeah. Thanks, Teresa.
Awesome.
Okay. All right. So one more task for everybody. Which adjectives would you use to describe yourself using the letters in your name? Which positive adjectives would you use? And, I'd like you to write it out and stick it on your mirror, your fridge, your purse, so you remind yourself. I like to say to people that my name is Ada and I am amiable, dynamic, and amazing. And it doesn't matter to me whether or not you agree. That's my story and I'm sticking to it. So, that's something I'd like us to take away with us.
You mean those poems you wrote in elementary school are actually good for something?
I'm sorry?
I feel like there's an exercise in elementary school where I had to do this. So it turns out that's useful for something.
Yep. The world, that's the thing. The earth keeps spinning, right? So things come full circle now and again. Because these things are important. Those are the things that help us step up. At those times when you're feeling like an imposter, you remember, as an example, I'm like, oh, Ada, you're amazing. Step up, you can do this totally. Okay. So guess who else suffers from imposter syndrome?
The sound isn't coming through on this one. That's
Sorry?
very strange. The sound doesn't seem to be coming through on this one, which is strange because it was working on the last one.
Do you want me to? I can stop and start resharing. Let's try that.
Yeah, that might help.
Technology is doing its thing, and that is fine.
Unless it's just me. Were other people experiencing that as well?
Okay, let's try again. This thing has a mind of its own.
To enter into an elite school.
Is it coming through?
When your high school counselor has told you you're not good enough. When all of society sort of looks at kids of color or kids from poor communities or rural communities as not belonging. I, like many others, walked into that school with a stigma in my own head. More young people nowadays call it imposter syndrome. I don't know if they call it that in Britain, where kids like me feel like they don't belong. And I had to work to overcome that question that I always ask myself, am I good enough? And I write about that. That's a question that has dogged me for a good part of my life. Am I good enough to have all of this? Am I good enough to be the First Lady of the United States? And I think that many women, and definitely many young girls of all backgrounds, walk around with that question. But how I overcame that is how I overcome anything: hard work. So whenever I doubted myself, I just told myself, let me put my head down and do the work, and I would let my work speak for itself. And I still find that I do that. I still feel that at some level I have something to prove because of the color of my skin, because of the shape of my body, because of who knows how people are judging me.
Okay. Thoughts?
It is always good to know that it's not just me and that someone as amazing as Michelle Obama has these same struggles.
It puts it in perspective, right? Okay. Okay. So that was it from me. Okay, I'm not sure. And Theresa, back to you. It's all yours now.
So thank you so much, Ada. That was awesome. I think that gives us all a place to start with this. And now we also have a life coach to go to if we continue to struggle with it. So thank you very much for taking the time to come and talk to the group. I really appreciate it. And thanks to all of you attendees for showing up. You're what keeps me going. So feel free to give me any feedback. And otherwise, I'm trying to plan something a little bit more casually social for December. I think that Christmas is so uncertain for all of us right now that I think just seeing people's faces is what I would like from this event in December. So hopefully you guys agree with that, and we'll see you there. For those of you who missed the beginning of the session, there's a couple of volunteer opportunities for the data convention, and also we're going to put the data convention to a completely virtual event. So watch for ticket sales on that. It'll be happening in March. But otherwise, that's it for me for today. So thank you guys so much. And if anyone wants me to leave this meeting open, you guys can feel free to keep chatting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ada, so much.
You're most welcome.
Thanks, Ada. That was a brilliant session.
Thank you. Glad you could join us. Appreciate it. Thanks, Sharon. Oh, thanks, Ijama. Thanks, Pauline. Oh, seeing lots of messages here.
Yeah, lots of thank yous coming through.
Yeah, that's gracious.
Yeah, it's like I said when we originally chatted, it's a topic that people have been very interested in, and we've been sort of talking about a little bit with the group, with you know, the limited knowledge of the people within the group. Quite frequently comes up in conversations. So I was really looking forward to doing something formal about it. So thank you very much for that.
Well, thanks for the opportunity.
I'm going to stop the recording now.
Sounds good.